Hello everyone, this is December 12, 2018. My lesson is titled, I Will Make Them Love Me. My lesson is asking you to take a look at how the Torah God is displayed in the Torah by the prophecies that have to deal with destruction and war. And you can find an earlier video of mine on YouTube titled Only War, in which I took a look at war being used to verify prophecy. I was thinking earlier that the scriptures actually tell us that there will be a lot of destruction and war that actually proves the God of the Bible, proves the Torah is given by God. But in a strange kind of way, I noted that while a lot of people will get destroyed, and some already have over time, a lot, even in the Bible days, right? So not just after the Bible stopped being written. And certainly we're looking forward to some more. I don't know if I should say forward to, but we know based on so-called prophecy, it's coming. That more people will die from war talked about in the Torah. And when we take a look at that, we understand that people are so fearful, and as many look into eschatology, dealing with end times kind of stuff that the Bible talks about, people are sometimes moved with fear to seek after God some more. While that seems to be dying out, some people still go by fear of the end times to find God. And people are just looking for someone who can explain everything, like more clear in the scriptures, and trying to give them more of a connection with their childhood understanding of what the end times would be like in terms of the judgment for the end of the world. I just want people to think to themselves, if you are not planning war and doing all this mass evil and so on, yeah, you might tell a lie here and there to somebody, you might manipulate somebody, so on. You take a pencil from your workplace that wasn't given to you to take home, things like that, and you might do a little things here and there bigger than that and so on. Sometimes you rub somebody the wrong way in your personal life, and things like that, but you aren't planning a wide-scale annihilation of people groups, of countries and things like that. You're not poisoning like thousands and thousands of people throughout your lifetime. The big things. You're not doing that kind of stuff. So why is it that you should be on the receiving end of the prophecies in the scriptures by the God of the Hebrews? Why? But it seems like the wicked, who should more be thought of as the ones doing these kinds of things, it seems like you are joined into the wicked, even though you don't do this kind of stuff. You don't desire war. You just want to live in peace. You want a world where everybody is living in peace. But somehow you are expected to get the same kind of destruction as prophesied in the Torah that the wicked should get. Even when you deal with the law, I understand, I don't know if it's that way in every country, but in some countries, and in some cases, like if a thief breaks into your house, let's say he comes through your kitchen window while you're sleeping and or you're away from the house, and he comes through your kitchen window, and he's coming over your kitchen sink to get onto the floor in the kitchen and so on, and steal from your house. If he's coming through like that, and your dishes and everything, your dish rack and so on, just falls down as he hits it or trying to get in, and while everything is falling, and he's falling with it, he falls on a sharp knife that's falling down with him from the dish rack, and stabs him, injures him badly. You could be charged right there because he got injured in that way. Now, you didn't ask the man to come and steal from you. You don't want him to steal from you. In that case, he is being evil to you because he broke your window. He's going to come and steal from your house, your hard-earned money and so on. But you can get punished like that. If he also gets into a fight with you, if you happen to be home in another scenario, and you hear this noise, you go in and somehow you get in a fight with him, and he tries to injure you, you try to injure him back and so on. Then you end up, it's like a punching, kicking and punching kind of stuff. But then you take a knife, that's going back and forth, the kicking and punching, so both of you are delivering blows like that. But then you take a knife or some other great object, and you seriously maim him with that object. You stab him or you whatever with some other metal object and so on. You could be charged in some cases, in some places, because you did far more than what he did. He was just using his hands and feet to kick you, hurt you, same way you're doing. But then after you managed to subdue him somewhat, or enough to get a hold of the situation, you went far above that, when it probably wasn't necessary anymore to do anything else further to him in that kind of way. But you went beyond that, and you seriously hurt him with a weapon that you pulled on in your house. You could be charged for that, because the law will say you went above and beyond what was going on right there. And so, because you hurt the wicked, you're getting more punishment than the wicked. So the people who are destroying the earth and destroying and taking so many lives, prophecy says they're going to be destroyed, but you find that you are going to be so destroyed. Because when you think of all the billions of people on earth, 7 or 8 billion that they say, it's I would think a relatively small number of top people who are actually orchestrating the evil and the mass genocide. But you find that millions and billions are slated to be destroyed in all of this. Like if you look at the wars that have been fought, some people argue that more civilians who weren't trying to be in the war are actually wiped out, killed, than the number of army personnel, or than the number of top people who are controlling the armies. Because everybody in an army isn't really trying to just destroy people per se. They just figure, hey, I want to support my country and whatever and be patriotic, as well as it will get them paid college education, things like that. They're not expecting to go full out just like wiping out a whole country or half of a country. But it's just kind of funny that as you think of these things, you understand that prophecy about destruction seems a little bit odd from a loving God. But here we find that we are salivating like a dog ready for some food from its master on every word of prophecy from the Bible / Torah that's there telling us how we, along with the wicked, are going to be destroyed. And we're just going to be given this blanket name that we are the wicked, even though we aren't doing all this stuff. And we aren't making the billions and billions that the wicked make. But we're just going to be stamped and labeled wicked, along with the real wicked. Like some of us are already fighting against, like fighting against vaccination, fighting against, what else people fight against? Poisoning from like GMO foods and water poisoning, stuff like that. So some of us are already fighting these things, yet we're going to be labeled in the destruction of the prophecies as being the wicked who get taken out. So it is really kind of odd, and I really want you to think of this as you go on investigating and studying your Torah, as I myself am investigating the Torah and the Bible that I have so long believed since I was a child. But here I'll read two scriptures from you to show how we are going after the knowledge of God so much from the Bible to love God deeper, love Him more, while He has us slated for destruction. If I read here from Jeremiah chapter 50, the word that the Lord spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations, and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say, Babylon is fallen, Bel is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces, idols, images broken to pieces, and so on. Now let's run over to Isaiah chapter 17 with the whole Syria bombing Damascus. Isaiah 17 verse 1, the burden of Damascus, behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city and shall be a ruinous heap. Now, like many, I believed when I came into this Israelite understanding about 4 years ago or so, that this prophecy that a lot of Torah teachers teach is speaking of what's going on lately in Syria, how Syria was bombed and it's being destroyed, and you'll see a lot of pictures online and in newspapers, and they say, oh, look at how it has been broken down, it's a ruinous heap like the scripture says. So prophecy fulfilled. Now I'm rethinking these things because it's just kind of strange to me lately that God Yahweh of the scriptures has His prophets writing stuff, and He takes the time to write so much destruction in it through the pen of His scribes. Scribe 1, Scribe 2, Scribe 3, and He just adds them all up, and we get this whole volume of prophecies of destruction. And someone will say, but the world is worthy of destruction for its evil. I wonder if it would be a better world if more of us would have the view that it would be a better world if more of us teach better things, if more of us desire better prophecies from God, if more of us desire more time from God's mouth speaking to His scribes, that they should write more of how we can navigate through the evil and make it to better times. Shouldn't we get more direction from God on how to pick the fruits of Eden, or regrow Eden, regrow the trees of Eden? More prophecies that will have us investigating from God's scribes and God's prophets how to regrow the trees of Eden, than prophecies that make us be more fearful in our heart from all the wars that are going to come. Because the prophecies, you see, the prophecies do something to you. People's hearts are filled with fear, and in a time where you need to have less fear so you can navigate through life and through the future a little better, and keep your head screwed on a little bit more, and focus a little bit better, when you need all of your inner faculties and so on, and all your inner resources of mind and whatever else, spirit and whatever else they say we've got, to help you figure out how to still put food in your belly and in your family's mouth and so on, and keep roof over your head when all this war and difficulties breaking out, and even before war breaks out full scale, but even with the difficulties of the economy and whatever is going on, the shifting of this, that, and whatever, changing of laws and so on. We're being given all this extra fear to limit us in how we approach all this kind of destruction and thwarting of life. When the scribes could have given more of their words from the mouth of God, if God had spoken to them of how we can not succumb to fear generated by his prophecies, but focus more on how we can regain Eden. Now that would be more powerful than prophecy. If God has prophecies that tell us and prove that his Bible is true, his book is true, and that he is real, wouldn't he be more seen as being real to us and more believable if he would, with all the destruction on earth and all the thousands of years of the degrading of life, would tell us how to find back the healing of Eden and the regrowth of Eden in a world where it seems it is not possible to have an Edenic experience. See, now that is a miracle. When you, as God Yahweh, can have the spirit of Eden grow up like a tree in the midst of the hopelessness that we see in our world today, and the poisoning of water, the lead in the water, and so on. If we can find somehow the healing qualities that were put into the fruit of Eden still growing up in our backyards or wherever, or in our supermarkets, when they tell us it is impossible to get well of certain things and vaccines and so on, if you as God Yahweh could somehow have a step into the healing power from the foods and the soil and so on that were in Eden, in a time when there is no more Eden, that would be the real power of God, of the Creator. Because the miracles in the scriptures tell us that God made things happen when it didn't seem it was possible. When the children of Israel were coming out of Egyptian bondage, he made them a pillar of fire by night, a pillar of cloud by day to lead them. Egyptians were swallowed up in the water when they didn't think a way was possible. Moses held his staff and the water split open, and you say, wow, miracle. So he made things happen that seemed impossible to people. So they tell us in the Torah that I'm still trying to verify. He made food like manna to come from heaven out of nothingness, just out of heaven, out of thin air. So why is it that he cannot make Edenic trees to come up out of ruined soil that we've got in 2018 going into 2019? The ripping out the iodine from the soil that we need for different kinds of healings in our bodies. Why is it that we cannot get that iodine and the other stuff that we need out of the ground, out of the soil, out of the foods? Why can't we get that from our God in the scriptures? A way to get into that. A way to come up with the ideas how we can restore things. So they can try to plan the bombing, plan the GMO food, plan the poisoning of the bees, and plan the genetic restructuring of animals, pets, insects, and the ecosystem and so on. While they're planning all that stuff, then people of earth who want the truth of God, or even the Hebrew Israelites, while they're planning all that stuff to do to people, why is it that God's prophecies do not get the better out of us, and the miracle out of us, and the miracle out of the earth by extracting the Edenic miracle that was there at the start in the face of all that they do, so that it will be like a manna raining down on us in the midst of all that they do. When Moses made the water come out, and it saved them, because without water you will die. Why is it that some Edenic or some wilderness miracle cannot happen to counteract the lead poisoning and the heavy metal poisoning of water today. But water miracle can happen in the wilderness when they're coming out of Egyptian bondage. But no water miracle can happen today to save us from the heavy metal poisoning in our waters, the fluoride in our waters. This God only works in the Bible, but he will keep you salivating at just another coming to understanding out of his word as you study more, search more, and try to lap up the milk of the word. You're reaching after God because God, through his fearful prophecies that bring more fear in your heart, and fear grips you and damages your DNA some more, because fear ruins you, anxiety ruins your body and so on, ruins your physicality. That's what you get more of. And God made sure, the wise God who used wisdom to create the world and everything, made sure that his Torah is written in that way, where you will not grow in the ways you need to, but you will grow from more knowledge of the book, but you will not grow in more ways that will change the world. He writes the book, or allows his scribes to write the book and his prophets to prophesy prophecies that leave you salivating some more after his word. As if he is saying, through what I would call here, in my opinion, dangerous prophecies, because they're prophesying of war and they instill fear in you and so on. He's really saying to you, through all the negativity that my prophecies of the end time war and destruction will bring to them, and the fear that it will bring to them and so on, I will make them love me. I will give them fear through my prophecies, but I will make them love me through those same prophecies. I will dwindle their creativity through fear, running and hiding. Now people are trying to hide in the forest and get off the grid and so on. Running from a world that they should be embracing because it is the gift of the Creator to live in this world. But instead, his prophecies sounds to me sometimes like it's saying, I will make them run in fear, live in fear, exist in fear of what is to come. But I will make them love me through the book that tells them that all they should expect ahead is fear, more fear, war, water shortages, destruction, bombings, and so on. And so, while the elite have you scheduled in different countries for more bombings, like has happened for thousands of years, they have you scheduled. You live in this land, we're going to be sending armies to kill you. We live in this land, we're going to be sending more. These other people here, we're going to destroy them. These other people, we're going to bomb you, and so on. It's not just the elite with their armies who plan where they're going to bomb next. It's Syria next, it's Iran next, it's this, that, whatever. But God, that you salivate after some more in your studying of his Torah or of his book, has also scheduled you for destruction, just like the wicked do. He has scheduled you because he says, after Isaiah prophesies this destruction, 2100 years, 2700 years after Isaiah lives, I'm going to bomb Syria. 2500 years after Michael lives, I'm going to bomb this other one. 2000 years later, after this other prophet prophesies, I'm going to destroy the other people in that land. I'm going to destroy the people in Syria. Then 1800 years later, I'm going to destroy the people in Lebanon. God has you scheduled in different countries in his Torah, in his prophecies. Scheduled for destruction, just like the wicked. It's not just the wicked who have you scheduled. God has a calendar where he has scheduled to destroy people, even people who read the Bible. Look at the churches that have been bombed. God also, like the wicked, has you scheduled for destruction. But while you are scheduled by his word for destruction in eschatological prophecies of war, end-time war, while he has you scheduled like that, there's something mysterious about his word, where it's as if he's communicating, but my word will still be so strong that the more they read it, the more they will come after me, the more they will love me, the more they're going to go to church, the more they're going to seek out a new Sabbath teacher, the more they're going to go to Bible studies, the more they're going to learn of me. And through all of this scheduling that I have for them, I will make them love me.